It's wild, it's weird, it's wacky, it's wondrous. You will stand up and cheer your heart out when you watch RRR, Rise, Roar, Revolt, the latest Bollywood blockbuster from India that has swept the goddamn nation, swept several nations. Hell, a 7-nation army couldn't hold this movie back. Critics, audience members, everybody has been talking about this movie, and it's on Netflix, and I finally decided to sit down and watch this 185-minute long movie. Yes, you heard me right. 3 hours and 5 minutes of action-adventure mixed with comedy, mixed with romance, mixed with friendship, epic battles, and so much goddamn heart, pure fantasy, pure wondrous material. This was goddamn amazing. This was fucking tremendous. I absolutely see why people praise this movie to the fucking heavens. And while I've never necessarily gotten into Bollywood movies, though they're the Lonely Johnny clip, and if you know what I'm talking about, you absolutely fucking get it. Boy, The Simpsons have a reference for everything. If you have gotten into Bollywood movies, then you will love this. If you haven't gotten into Bollywood movies, you will love this. This basically is an amalgamation of just so many genres, but also it's kind of a mix of two movies. Everything Everywhere All at Once, which has certainly gotten a lot of praise and also some backlash, as well as Brotherhood of the Wolf. That's the best way I can describe it. Everything Everywhere All at Once and Brotherhood of the Wolf, Human Centipede together, mixed with just an amazing amount of CGI blended with epic battles and just a lot of dramatic, sweeping shots and just great I fucking love this. I can't fucking believe just how much I love this movie. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce too many of the names because I really don't want to get, I don't want to get any of them wrong, but it takes place in pre-independent India where the British Empire is basically overtaken them and the natives are getting restless. Leave with your heat. Just a little more heat. Just a little more heat. If you get it, you fucking get it. But basically the natives are getting restless. People are being tired of being, pressed down by the British Empire. And we get flashbacks. We get two guys that bond over friendship. One guy is trying to rescue his sister Molly. And one guy is a secret officer that has his own agenda. I mean, there's Raju, there's Akhtar, who may or may not be who he says he is, but we find out through flashbacks and various, bits of storyline, and also some great dance numbers, just how far these two will go to achieve what they want to accomplish. They want to basically accomplish something great in their own way, and also just free India from the rule of the British Empire. And boy, Ray Stevenson, that's one of the only names I can actually fucking pronounce in this, is really a goddamn dick. Fucking brutal dictator of a general. And also, remember Indiana Jones 3? The blonde that was in that, played by Alison Doody. Sorry. Mature. I'm mature. I, of course, can react to the last name of Doody with the good taste and maturity everybody has come to expect from me. She's pretty evil in this. She doesn't get a whole lot of screen time, which is odd because this movie's 3 hours and 5 fucking minutes long. But my God, it's colorful. It's wonderful. A lot of CGI animals. And just a lot of great shit. I mean, you really feel every bit of effort poured into this. The directors, the cameramen, the stuntmen, the actors, the cast, the amazing amount of extras that they put into this. This was wonderful. This is the most fun I've had watching a movie in a while. And I just loved every goddamn second of it. Had I thought of actually watching this in theaters, I would have actually gone to the theater and watched it. Unfortunately, it wasn't playing at my theater, but nevertheless, this was fucking wonderful. So, yeah, since it's, set in, the 1920s in India, there's going to be, certain stuff technology and stuff like that. Really, really fancy cars and everything. Apparently, the budget for this movie is $45 million in U.S., and they got a lot. If that's true, they got a lot for $45 fucking million. They got a lot. There was a lot of CGI, but a lot of great battles. There was a lot of great stunt work. The people that played Akhtar and Raju, they were great. You really felt their friendship while feeling their conflict because they were dealing with their own conflicts inside. It was just great. I have to give this a fucking thumbs up right away. My God, this is great. Fucking watch this. This review isn't going anywhere. You can even pause it right now and watch it and then come back to me. There, wasn't that fucking great? Told you it was fucking great. Sure, it ate up basically an eighth of your day, or maybe possibly a sixth of your day if you had to take bathroom breaks like any normal human. But that being said, a lot of the movie just flies by. Sure, there's some slow-mo. Sure, I don't really get the cultural stuff when it comes to Bollywood movies, because there are just some things that may translate in a different way, but you can honestly, this crosses all boundaries as far as storytelling, as far as just epicness. And yeah, it's fanciful and ridiculous. There are multiple times where the movie just says, fuck your physics. Like, I mean, there are points where, like, that doesn't add up. There is no way this should work. But it's a work of pure fiction while having the backdrop of something that was a real life situation. And they even said in the beginning that they didn't mean for any, hurt or, harm to, be caused by, this take on this particular situation. And I did lots of special thanks, by the way, because a lot of effort went into this movie. Penn Studios put a ton of effort into their goddamn logo. I mean, that was a lot of epicness for a freaking logo. Guy catching fire for some reason. Again, I don't know that much about Indian filmmaking. And stunts by King Solomon. I don't know why that made me laugh, and I don't know why it made me think of the song Ghetto Superstar. That is what you are. Man, that's a callback. And it was also in memory of the late, and I'm going to pronounce his name the best way I can, Shri Beshi Kosteti Gada. If I got that name wrong, I apologize. There's a couple very, very beautiful women in this. There's Sita, who's Ali Bhat, and Jennifer, played by Olivia Morris. And there are various other people in this as well. I want to say, once again, special to the actors who play Akhtar and Raju. Fan-fucking-goddamn-tastic. Great work by these guys. I mean, they put a lot of work in there. The fight scenes in particular required so much, just great camera work and great stunt work. There was one point where Raju was fighting seemingly like 2,000 people trying to bring one particular prisoner back to his base. And it was fucking great. And then we find out the reasons why that was happening. We find out why Akhtar, is living the way he's living because he wants to rescue his sister. All this stuff is happening. And a lot of shit gets thrown at you in the first hour. And then we have a dance number that's absolutely fucking wonderful. That is just fucking great. But see, the great thing is we see a few things like the fire. And then we get the fire, the water, and we get a couple other things. We get RRR. We just get all this stuff. The rise, roar, revolt. We get that credits of about 40 minutes in, and then things really fucking kick up when everybody's motives start to conflict, and they have to figure out what ultimately they can do. Do they go with their motives? Do they go with the singular focus they've had to bring peace or rescue their family member, or do they go at war and basically just get upset because people's motives aren't exactly clear? It's just a whole lot of craziness, and it's also a simple story. That's a crazy thing about this. There's depth to the characters, but it's also a simple story with a few layers to each character. We get flashbacks. We find out how each character came to be. And it's just really, really fucking goddamn wonderful. Absolutely go watch this. Why are you not watching it now? Why did you come back to this review before watching it? It's great. Perhaps even spectacular. In fact, it is spectacular because I loved every goddamn minute of it. Even if there were multiple times I was saying, I don't know what's happening because I don't quite get the culture, but fuck, they put some great effort into this. The CGI animals, even though they were obviously CGI, there was a great moment where Akhtar was trying to get something together, like get this net to trap this tiger. There was like Raju fighting off people, as I said, trying to become this high-ranking officer, trying to, just please the British Empire. Is he a bad guy? Is he actually a good guy pretending to be a bad guy? We find these things out a little bit later. And yeah, the British Empire are just full of evil, tea-drinking, crumpet-eating bastards, except Olivia Morris, who was fucking lovely, by the way. This was just great. Just goddamn fucking great. By the way, again, Brotherhood of the Wolf. Watch that also. Watch that after you watch this. Because that one's a little, I don't want to say necessarily grounded in more reality. But it's also about 40 minutes shorter. Also features Monica Bellucci as a witchy S&M type woman. Totally was fine during that. Nevertheless, about RRR. My goodness, you won't want to, you will stand up and cheer. You will have a whole bunch of fun watching this. I am going to get into spoilers, but absolutely go watch this. It's on Netflix. You will love it. You will just have a whole lot of fun, even if some of the culture stuff makes you think, huh? Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 spoilers. There we go, because I can count. So yeah, let's get into spoilers. So, okay. Akhtar is actually a guy named Beam, Bheem, and he is trying to rescue his sister Molly, who is a little girl that was kidnapped by Allison Duty, and Ray Stevenson, because they wanted to have a little girl with them, because they were in the jungle, and then they bought the girl for a very, very cheap pittance, and then the mother was beaten, somehow not killed in the opening scene. I don't really understand, because they hit her with a freaking stick, and by stick I mean like about a 3-foot branch. But then Beam takes on the name Akhtar, so he's pretending to be Muslim. He's got some people together, some family members. They're trying to get inside this whole thing. And then it turns out this guy Raju is he's an officer, but he has his own intentions. He is trying to be this most evil son of a bitch, get this high-ranking special officer deal. Doesn't get it after he brings his prisoner to justice in this epic, like, 1 on 2,000 battle, so it's about even for Raju. He just beats the shit out of people, does this thing with a stick, just flipping over people, doing all this stuff, defying physics, and then he's like all pissed, and because he didn't get this after saving the goddamn garrison, saving the goddamn thing, then the idea is, okay, we need to, the British are trying to figure out where this Akhtar guy is, or the governor, or whatever it is. Basically, they don't really know much about him, but they know that they need to kill him. And then there's a bond between Raju and Akhtar, despite the fact that they should be on warring sides, but it turns out they actually have a common enemy, the British Empire, because Raju had his dad, or saw his dad and his mother and his sister, his brother too, basically everybody get killed, but his dad taught him how to be an excellent shot. And there's this great, great flashback sequence way later in the movie where we find out just how great of a shot he is. He was able to shoot through this target like from several hundred feet away. It's incredible. And then we get a great flashback. We see his dad get shot up and everything. But also he, at one point, has to shoot his dad in the back to set off these explosions. And then also there's this side romance between Beam, I'm just going to say Beam because it's easier, it's his actual name, and Jenny, Olivia Morris's character. And there's even this great dance. This friggin' dance about an hour in that's just amazing. Just energetic and colorful and whatever. Wonderful. And then at one point, about halfway through, there's this idea to invade the castle grounds after Jenny had shown him all these, talked about all the countermeasures and whatever, because she trusted him and she knows he's a good guy. She did not know that Molly was captured. She assumed that she was rescued. At least I assume that's where they were going with it. They never exactly touched on that. She just assumed, my mother has this little Indian girl here. It's okay. Her family must have died. My mother's not evil, even though if she even spent more than 5 minutes around her mother, she would have known she was evil. But nevertheless, there's this part where this truck is driven through. They rip off this blanket. All these animals jump out of these cages. How the animals were all peaceful up to that point, I don't know. But there's fire, there's all this stuff, there's like fire, disco, inferno. Raju and Beam battle each other, defying physics, picking up pieces of like a fountain and whipping them at each other, picking up chains, just throwing each other around. This is right after, by the way, Raju had kidnapped Beam's brother or uncle. I forget exactly the familiar relation, I apologize. And that guy had gotten a snake and thrown it at him, and the snake had bitten him, and Raju was about to die, but then this weird holy, ritual thing was done to save Raju. Again, all the stuff bouncing around in my head, because it was just 3 hours of insanity and epicness and pure fantasy and pure heart. So since he got saved, naturally, he has to basically keep up his officer deal, and he has to basically capture him. Well, it takes a lot, and a lot of people get killed, and a lot of people get destroyed. However, Beam does make sure to save Jenny, so she knows that he's a good guy. And once Beam is captured, they're gonna beat the shit out of him. And they beat the shit out of him, they whip him, they handcuff him, but he won't kneel, even when the queen or the general's wife, whatever you want to fucking call her, throws a whip that has all these barbs around it. And I don't exactly understand why she had that there. I don't understand what was going on. I don't know what the practical use of that would be, but we see when you whip a pillar, it takes the stuff up, and he's got to keep this thing up. He's got to keep it up. He just whips him, but he won't die. He just won't die, damn it, because fuck your physics. And then he gets captured, and he gets taken to this particular river where he's going to be hung. But it turns out that Raju has this idea to free him. So then, while they're going towards this whole thing, or while they're going towards this river, this isolated river, because otherwise they'll make him a martyr, because when they were whipping Beam, these people revolted, and one guy bit a British general guy on the neck, on the freaking Adam's apple, like we're in Pet Cemetery. People were buried under barbed wire. More and more British people were killed. There were a lot of people killed in this movie. A lot of violence, a lot of blood, and a lot of craziness. And then, basically what ends up happening is Beam gets freed, and because somebody slips him a razor blade just before before the truck takes off with him, one of the people that happens to be on Raju's side and also on Beam's side. And that, because character names, unfortunately, I don't want to mispronounce them, and I don't want to mispronounce some of the actors. I will say the director and the writer did a fantastic job melding this in all these genres. He gets freed. Molly gets freed because Raju says, I got the great idea. Let me just race ahead and everything and set this trap. And then the general, Ray Stevenson, decides to shoot one tire, and that sends the car about 10 to 15 feet in the air. Physics! And then Raju gets stabbed because he lands on a tree, an open tree branch. Molly escapes. She escapes with her brother. Raju fights people up, and he gets captured, put in solitary confinement, and then he gets rescued because it turns out that Raju's wife, Sita, apologies if I got that wrong, Ali Bhatt, she knew about all this stuff and everything and helped feed, these runaways, including Beam and Molly, along with the few family members that were there. And she tells the story, and he's like, I did this, and I have to go fix it. And he's gonna fix it. He is gonna rescue him, and he does. And because his legs were busted during a prison torture exercise, they decide the great idea is all these guns are going to basically be commissioned to be shipped, and he would promise to bring guns to his people to fight back against the British. And then what he decided to do was, Beam, you rescued me, and he ripped the door off its hinges like he was Kane, back when Kane actually was, not an unintelligent political idiot. Non-wrestling fans have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. Nevertheless, rips the door off its hinges. And because his legs are busted, he puts Raju on his shoulders, he gets guns, and they do this weird deal where it's like a Matryoshka doll. There's 6 more of them inside, and they're doing this balancing act where he's shooting people, balancing, going back, doing the stuff, sweeping around, shooting people. It's fucking incredible. It makes no sense physics-wise. Then they get in the forest while the British people are chasing after them. They somehow manage to get in full-on leafy military camouflage garb, but they get besieged by arrows. And one lieutenant governor, or whoever he was, as far as like his rank, he says, let's get more reinforcements over there. Ray Stevenson says, yeah, let's send more people in there. They're getting slaughtered, but whatever. And then there's a motorcycle there for some reason. And this motorcycle reminded me of an earlier scene where there was the bond that Beam and Raju had when they rescued a boy, and they did it by, after this fire had surrounded him when an oil tanker or an oil train fell over, and that was a really fucking incredible scene. Too many incredible action scenes to talk about. And then, as if the physics weren't just bonkers enough, at one point Beam is pissed enough, he picks up after Raju gets shot and he's in full. It's kind of like how in Brotherhood of the Wolf, how you remember, the the main character, how he dressed kind of like, as a native and shot people and did that arrow stuff, at the end of the movie. Sorry, the movie's been out 20 fucking years. I'm sorry for spoiling it. It reminded me of that. But after Raju gets shot, Beam says, okay, I'm going to pick up this motorcycle and throw it at you. What? He picked up a motorcycle and threw it at him and then stabbed him with a spear. And then he went to the general's area, and apparently they kept about enough TNT to flatten several small countries, because the entire thing got taken out. I think the entire countryside got taken out. Ray Stevenson gets shot in the heart, and he's to blame because he gave Invasions a bad name. And basically, what was the one line here? Repay the bullet that he made. Repay him right into his heart. And he shoots him. And now they're all fine. They're all celebrating. And then they have a dance number at the end. There is an Iron Man in every lane and home. I don't know what this was supposed to be, but I know I fucking loved it. Because again, it was wild. It was crazy. It's a fucking thumbs up. Absolute thumbs up. I just did, just before I, give my grade here, I did, best and worst movies so far of the year. Like, I did lists of those yesterday and put them up. And had I actually watched this before, this would have been on my favorite movies of the year list. And it will definitely be on my favorite movies of the year list by the end of the year. I don't see much, topping something like this. This is fucking, it might end up being my favorite film of the year. I still got time to think about it because, boy, this is just crazy. But it gets an A+. It is fucking great. It is just wild and nuts and epic and everything. Everything I could ask for and then some. So agree, disagree what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.